Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Access Asia. Coming up, Pakistan's Prime Minister rejects calls for him to resign. As Imran Khan's been criticized for mishandling the economy, we take a look at life in the country's biggest city. China has big plans for the Mekong River, but there's concern they could threaten the livelihood of millions of people in other countries. And it's a trip to die for. Tourists from around the world are flocking to Japan's biggest and oldest cemetery. We'll tell you why in a moment. Well, it's been just over a year since he was elected, and Pakistan's prime minister has faced calls for him to resign. But Imran Khan said he will not be driven from power. A radical Islamist party led protests, along with a contingent of other prominent opposition groups. They leveled various claims against Khan, from doubting his electoral victory last year to bad governance and mishandling the economy. Meanwhile, Pakistan's biggest city, Karachi, has been named among the 5 least livable cities in the world. Naomi Lloyd reports.
Rush hour in Karachi. The port city and economic capital of Pakistan has over 20 million residents. Drivers here have to dodge potholes and sewage gutters that are open. Road accidents are commonplace.
I was riding my motorbike coming back from work when a rickshaw trying to avoid a pothole crashed into me. I fell on the road and severely injured my lower body.
Shahbaz Bukhari is an accountant and had to return to his job 15 days later as he wasn't allowed more sick leave and feared losing his job. With the help of his son, he hobbles down the stairs and starts his motorbike. If he needs to start it again en route to his office, he asks strangers for help. Karachi has been ranked as the 5th least livable city in the world in the Global Livability Index. The report noted Karachi's quality of road network as undesirable and public transport as intolerable.
Few pieces of infrastructure were constructed, but the infrastructure that people commonly use, those services were obviously not attended. And this situation has continued on for quite a sizable period of time.
Ahmed says that daily more than 12,000 tonnes of rubbish is produced, but only half is collected. The city authorities and provincial government each blame the other for the deteriorating state of affairs. Karachi's ranking has, however, moved up 1 place. Last year, it was the world's 4th least livable city.
Well, China hopes to put the Mekong River at the heart of a vast transport network. The only problem is to realize this dream could threaten the local environment and livelihood of millions of people living further downstream and in neighboring countries. Kathy Clifford explains.
It's Southeast Asia's biggest river. The Mekong feeds millions as it winds its way through Tibet, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia and Vietnam, before flowing into the South China Sea. But Chinese dams upstream have for years been disrupting the flow and lowering water levels. Fish stocks are depleted and unseasonal droughts and floods are common. Many fishermen have been forced out, but Suk is staying put for now.
This year is the worst. The water is too low. I have to fish and fish again to catch one.
A stretch of just 97 kilometers is all that now stands between Beijing and full control of the river. China plans to blast the rapids and dredge the water so that huge cargo ships and perhaps military vessels could pass. But fierce protests from locals have prompted Beijing to put the plans on hold. These boulders are a vital habitat for fish and birds.
The people who want to destroy the rapids might call them filthy rocks, but we the villagers see them as an important ecosystem that makes the river abundant.
Beijing says the changes will benefit everyone, increasing trade and generating wealth. It sees the Mekong as the nerve centre in a network of industry and transport links. But experts in neighbouring countries disagree.
I think for China, it's a kind of a leverage. It's a kind of geo-economic power. China has power because it's upstream. It can build dams at will, and the downstream countries and communities cannot do much about it.
It's festival time in the Thai town of Chiang Khong. The history and traditions of people here are linked to the river. They're worried by China's ambitions.
I fear that another country coming to our peaceful town will make our culture disappear.
These few rocks and rapids are the last bastion of hope for many whose livelihoods depend on the Mekong.
Now, for some of us, the idea of a nighttime visit to a graveyard may sound frightening, but visitors of Japan's oldest cemetery say it is, in fact, inspiring. It's a World Heritage Site, and people from around the world are coming for the tours. Erin Ogunkeye explains.
Embarking on a nocturnal visit to a cemetery takes a certain degree of bravery, especially when it's the largest and oldest in Japan. Some tombs are more than 1,000 years old.
So please put your hands together and bow.
But this group of tourists is up to the task, though they're admittedly reassured by the presence of a Japanese monk and guide.
There are 200,000 graves in the cemetery, and in the ground, under the ground, there are more than that.
Visitors insist it's not a morbid experience, rather a spiritual, almost mystical one, packed with legends and history. The journey attracts tourists from all corners of the world.
In a European or German graveyard, more scary because of the whole environment, because it's much more dark, scary, sad, and yeah, here it's completely the opposite.
At daybreak, the site's majestic temples and pagodas come to light. There are nearly 120 of them in the village of Khoyasan, nestled in the middle of the mountains some 800 meters above sea level. Everything here revolves around one of the Japanese branches of Buddhism.
This is the heart of our religion, so those who practice it must come here.
An obligatory rite of passage, because it's said the founder of Shingon Buddhism, Kobo Daishi, was laid to rest here in the year 835. His loyal followers wanted to be buried beside him, transforming the site into one of Japan's largest cemeteries. Entry here is free, but all visitors must rinse themselves, a symbol of purification. Whether it's for tourism, a religious pilgrimage, or simply individual contemplation, everyone is welcome here, Buddhist or not. Almost nothing has changed in Okinawan over the past 1,200 years. The monks ensure the survival of ancient traditions and the continued veneration of their saint Kobo Daishi. For them, the spiritual leader is not dead, but in a resting state of meditation, awaiting the arrival of the future universal Buddha.
Well, street dancing may evoke certain images in parts of the world, but in China, the scene is dominated by the elderly. Tens of thousands across the country practice it to socialize and stay fit. It's just a reminder that even in your golden years, you can still boogie down.
Every day, at the crack of dawn, this club of retired women gets together to dance with military precision. The uniform is obligatory, but it's all for fun.
I've been dancing for 4 or 5 years. It keeps me in good health and makes me happy.
At my age, it gives me an opportunity to meet people and make friends.
That doesn't stop their teacher from taking her role seriously.
You're number 6. You're number 10. Understand? Chin up and turn.
She sees dance as a kind of therapy.
Some of the dancers were depressed before. Now they feel better.
At full blast, or in silence out of respect for the neighbours, amateur street dancing is booming in popularity in China. It's even endorsed by the government, as Chinese authorities worry about an ageing population. It's not a new trend. The sport was also big in the 1940s and 50s, when Mao Zedong's followers did choreographed routines. In 2016, this group broke the world record for the largest street dance. while the best performers take to the stage. In Shanghai, there's a competition dedicated to finding the top team in China. 32,000 people take part from all over the country. Excitement is building in the corridors. There are only 10 groups left in the competition.
We've been practicing for 6 months for the contest. It's been hard.
Dressed in their traditional folk costumes, the choreography lasts 3 minutes. While the routine is a success, in the end, it's this silk dance that takes top billing.
And we end in Thailand with something that's not just for the faint of heart, but not for anyone who wants to have a functioning heart, for that matter. A food challenge at the restaurant Chris Steaks and Burgers of Bangkok. Eat a 6-kilogram burger in just 9 minutes. To put that in perspective, one would need to eat roughly the pace of a normal fast food burger every 10 seconds. Now, these customers were unsuccessful, but what would one get were he or she to eat it all? Well, apart from the 10,000 calories, there's a prize of 10,000 baht, roughly $330 US. Still not enough for me to take that plunge. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and please stay tuned to France 24.